Some of these contracts made zero sense the day that they were signed.
The Cleveland Browns made the worst trade plus contract in NFL history.
These are the 10 worst contracts in the NFL right now. The deals that'll make fans groan, front offices sweat, and accountants everywhere lose sleep. Deshaun Watson, QB, Cleveland Browns. Hey, might as well get this one out of the way first. No contract in NFL history has aged faster, uglier, or more painfully than Deshaun Watson's deal with the Cleveland Browns. When Cleveland fully guaranteed $230 million over 5 years, it wasn't just a bold move. It was an act of desperation. They ignored the elephant in the room and pushed all their chips to the middle of the table for a quarterback who hadn't played in over a year, and was mired in off-field controversy, and hadn't shown that he could carry a franchise deep into the postseason even at his peak in Houston. So, fast forward to 2025, and Browns fans are living the nightmare version of that gamble. Watson has been injured, inconsistent, and a shell of the player who once looked like a rising star. To make matters worse, he's now sidelined, likely forever, with a ruptured Achilles, and they have zero escape hatch. The fully guaranteed structure of his contract means that the Browns are on the hook no matter what. It's not just a bad deal, it's an anchor dragging the entire organization down. Not to mention, Cleveland's cap sheet has been absolutely gutted, forcing them to make painful decisions about retaining homegrown talent. The locker room has endured the constant cloud of uncertainty about their supposed franchise leader. It is rare that one contract can define an era, but Watson's certainly has, and it has defined it in the worst possible way. Brandon Ayuk, WR, San Francisco 49ers. Injuries are the cruelest twist of fate in the NFL, and for the San Francisco 49ers, Brandon Ayuk's deal already feels like one of those nightmare scenarios. There is nothing worse than a camp holdout that ends in a season-ending injury, for absolutely everyone involved. Just days before the 2024 season kicked off, the Niners rewarded Ayuk with a full-year $120 million extension. $30 million a year. $76 million guaranteed. The message was very clear. His grievances were heard, and they were ready to commit long-term. Then, 3 weeks later, disaster struck. On September 20th, Ayuk tore both his ACL and MCL in his right knee. And just like that, one of the NFL's most polished route runners and explosive playmakers was gone for the season. San Francisco was left staring at a cap sheet that suddenly looked a whole lot heavier. At his peak, he's one of the best in the game. Player who can win on the outside, torch defenses deep, and carry an offense when the ground game stalls. But that's the cruel truth of football. It has to actually be done on the field. I mean, potential only gets you so far. The Niners paid Ayuk to be a superstar, and now they just have to hope that his body still lets him be one. Otherwise, this deal becomes the kind of anchor that no GM wants to navigate. Dak Prescott, QB, Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott's extension with the Cowboys is the poster child for modern contract insanity. He's sitting on a 4-year, $240 million deal, with $231 of it being fully guaranteed. Numbers that made him the highest paid player in NFL history at the time. Dallas shelled out that much for a quarterback who is undeniably talented, but just has one career playoff win in 5 seasons as the starter, and an injury history that makes fans nervous. Look, Prescott is good, but good enough to cash checks like that? No, I think not. That paycheck has become a cap anchor, tying jiu-jitsu with Cowboys management as they juggle keeping Micah Parsons happy and allocating funds to defense. It is no wonder that the Cowboys fizzled in 2024 with a 7-10 record, sacked their coach after the season. Dak is no MVP, and the lead is so far out of the conversation that it is very scary. The deal was meant to signal all in, but what it looks like now is an organization that gambled with its future and is now losing. J.C. Horn, CB, Carolina Panthers. Alright, here's one that stings, especially for Panthers fans. Carolina handed J.C. Horn a 4-year, $100 million extension, making him the highest paid quarterback in football. Now on paper, it made sense. He's versatile, young, and had that Pro Bowl pedigree. But in reality, it's turned into a gamble with major injury baggage. Horn has had flashes of elite shutdown ability, but that highlight reel has been held back by his limited availability. He missed significant time in 2021 and 2023, and by the time he signed the deal, he'd only had one full healthy season in 2024. I mean, yeah, he's a nice player, but he managed to get a massive deal after 4 years in the league, during which he has played only 37 of 68 games. And now the Panthers are paying elite money for a player who might not even stay on the field. Sure, Horn has the talent, but an entire organization cannot revolve around what-ifs. At cornerback, consistency is everything, and determinative rookies and coaches cannot build anything if their best corner is a medical question mark each and every week. Kirk Cousins, QB, Atlanta Falcons. This one still feels like a weird fever dream. The Cousins signing came in wrapped in hype, decades of consistency, Iron Man reliability, and then boom! Draft day blows the whole narrative apart. The Falcons pick Michael Penix Jr. right after they sign Cousins. No heads up, just pure chaos. Yep, you got that right. The Falcons handed Kirk Cousins a 4-year, $180 million deal, $90 million of it being guaranteed, all while drafting a quarterback in the first round and with the aging QB coming off a torn Achilles. Well, fast forward into the season and the reality sets in hard. Cousins gets benched after a stretch of games where the interceptions piled up, he eventually loses his job to the incumbent, and the team collapses into playoff irrelevance. And Cousins, well, he's left with a deal that looks more like a bank heist than a quarterback contract. His contract is a financial albatross. The Falcons owe him tens of millions, even if he's cut or traded, and he's now going into the 2025 season as the most expensive backup in NFL history. Cousins is no longer the plan. He's the hangover from a drunken splurge. Robert Hunt, OG, Carolina Panthers. The Panthers handed Robert Hunt, an unproven guard with 0 Pro Bowls at the time, a 5-year, $100 million deal. That is $20 million a year, and comparable only to elite game-changing offensive linemen. That should not happen in a rebuild. Sure, Hunt had moments of competence, but competence is not value when you're shelling out league-high money to a guy with 1 season above replacement-level value. That is way too high of an investment for a guy who hasn't produced blue-chip results. Tyreek Hill, WR, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins didn't think twice when they gave Hill his blockbuster deal. 4 years, $120 million, with a staggering $72 million being guaranteed. At the time, it made a lot of sense. They needed a superstar to try and unlock Tua Tagovailoa, and Hill was fresh off another All-Pro season. And for a period there, the gamble was paying off in spades. Tagovailoa looked to be entering his prime, and Miami's entire identity was built around Tyreek bending defenses to his will. But fast forward to 2025, and the cracks are starting to show. Hill has missed time with nagging injuries, and when he's been out there, he has not looked quite the same. At least, not like that same blur that broke the game open in Kansas City. And worse yet, he's starting to become the malcontent that everyone always feared that he'd be. The Dolphins are already feeling it. They've had to get creative just to keep their core together, restructuring deals, putting cap pain into future years. Everyone in Miami know that the bills will come due eventually. The question at this point is, will Hill put the effort in on his end to make the deal worth it for the team again? Or will his production continue to tank as he makes a mess of that locker room? Jaylen Ramsay, CB, Pittsburgh Steelers. Jaylen Ramsay was once the kind of corner that you'd pay any price for, but he is no longer the same kind of player that can create a one-man identity for a defense. Unfortunately for Pittsburgh, it's 2025 now. Now, on paper, Pittsburgh structured it smartly. A relatively light cap hit in 2025 with bigger charges coming later. And that's totally fine if you're buying time for Ramsay to bounce back. But if a late career miracle doesn't happen and the downward trend that we've seen the past few years plus continues, well, then the Steelers will be paying superstar money for a name, not a player. Milton Williams, DT, New England Patriots. Coming off a breakout 2024 season, Milton Williams hit the market at the perfect time. And when the dust settled, New England stunned the league by dropping a massive deal, $26 million per year, the second highest figure for any defensive defensive tackle in football. Yeah, Williams has only one season with at least 5 sacks, and quite frankly, he's never been a full-time anchor. And now the Patriots are essentially paying him like he's Chris Jones. Jawaan Taylor, OT, Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City handed Taylor a 4-year, $80 million deal with over $60 million guaranteed in 2023, betting on him to be a cornerstone tackle in front of Patrick Mahomes. What they've gotten instead is a player whose name has been called far more by referees than anyone could have imagined. In 2024 alone, Taylor committed 17 penalties and allowed 8 sacks. That's not over-aggressive but dominant, that's just sloppy. He's being paid like an elite bookend while producing like a replaceable journeyman. Cutting him before 2025 would carry a dead cap hit north of $34 million. So, the Chiefs are stuck. And for a team that rarely miscalculates, this one really stands out. But hey, which NFL contract do you think is the most cringeworthy heading into the 2025 season? What do you think we got right here? What do you think we got wrong? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.